Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an article titled The Emotional Corrosion of Casual You-Know-What. And a big shout out to Derek for sending me this article. And guys, this article is going to go into the science behind this study, the scientific study about dealing with what can happen to people, in particular women, that have very high body counts. Lots and lots of partners, so to speak. And what's interesting, it really goes into what's going on in the brain, both not just for women, but also men as well, and the impact it can have. Pair bonding, whatever you want to call it, and all that. And you're going to see here, guys, as that it's going to be discovered that people that are like this in particular, and this focuses around a woman that started this whole study, found that, guess what? She's depressed, lonely, needy, very unhappy, all that. And it's going to go to the science behind this, and the study is going to show the different chemicals going off in the brains and how it can have an effect on people's lives. And it is pretty interesting to hear this take on the situation. And it's funny because given the environment we're in, where it's pretty much has been promoted for quite some time, and you see it everywhere, movies, TV, you name it, to have high body counts, and particularly for women to have very high body counts and ride the carousel, as people tend to call it, the negative impact that it can have. So, I'm going to jump right in. A little bit longer article, guys, but it's a good one. It's definitely interesting for those of you guys that like studies and hearing, the results of these findings. So, it starts off. Recently, I had the opportunity to work with a group of people from starkly different backgrounds. Most of our conversations were simply small talk. Yet one woman was surprisingly open about her life. Without prodding, she often articulately explained her philosophy on you-know-what and relationships. Having been married and divorced multiple times, she now welcomed no-strings-attached S-word encounters. She thrilled at the hunt and the conquest. So, this is going to lead into where the study is fairly accurate when it said flat out here that she had been married multiple times. In other words, can't be with somebody for too long. And how she has just simply no-strings-attached relationships and encounters and all that. Now, again, this is one person here, but obviously, as you're going to see, the study has found the study definitely makes a lot of things add up. It goes on. However, studying her for over a period of time, I noticed that she was often depressed. One day she came to me and asked, "Why does casual you-know-what hurt people?" Ah, how interesting. This painfully honest question deserves a truthful answer. Casual you-know-what is you-know-what for physical pleasure only, without emotional connection, no strings attached. Often it's a one-time occurrence. It includes any kind of you-know-what act with anyone, heterosexual or homosexual. In its rawest form, it involves two strangers, no names, no history, no tomorrow. It coldly seeks to suppress the development of any type of relationship. Casual you-know-what has been glamorized in movies and on television. Membership websites often accompanied with certain material which makes it easier for partners to hook up. I gotta speak in code here because it's YouTube, but I'm going to start using the S word at this point because typically YouTube flags if you say these certain things they don't like in the beginning of the video, the first 30 seconds to a minute or two, but now I can say it, so just thanks for bearing with me. I gotta speak in code. It is what it is, guys, about how things are in this environment. Everything's censored. It's ridiculous. Anyhow. Many authors praise its advantages. They assure us that the thrilling excitement of casual sex lifestyle, its joys are made to appear unquestionable. The philosophy underlying all this hype is that marriage is out. Casual, you-know-what, or, see, I'm already so conditioned to speak in code, I can't say the actual thing. Casual sex is harmless fun. Everyone is doing it. You are missing out. Just do it. Yeah, that's the philosophy. And don't get me wrong, guys. I got no problem with going out and having fun. But there's a balance, in my opinion. It's one thing if you're going to be completely once in your life, you're a virgin, and then you get married, and then that's it, the same person. No thanks. Then on the other hand, there's the extreme side, which you have nowadays being promoted, where pretty much you're riding the carousel of everybody in the city. Okay, I think a bit too much there. Goes for everybody. But there's a balance. You can have some fun, but not the way it's being promoted nowadays. But that's just me. It goes on. This is a seriously flawed philosophy. Risks are minimized. The threat of possible lifelong damage is ignored. Let's face the problem squarely. The misuse of sex brings incredible personal sorrow. Monogamous marital sex is the only source of true fun. That's what they say here. And that I gotta laugh at, because how many people that are married are actually really hooking up quite regularly, let alone actually having fun doing it? Let's be honest here. Casual sex is extremely risky and harmful to all involved. Yet, without question, casual sex experimentation is most destructive to our youth. All parents must come to grips with this problem. Why? Young adults and the youngest of teens are most likely to be taken in by such thinking. The current adult generation has yet to deal with the problem and the problems caused by promiscuous sex. Our sex-crazed society willfully overlooks the bad fruits of its actions. Contraceptives, including condoms, are not the solution. The harm done goes much deeper than unwanted pregnancy or being struck by a health-threatening sexual disease. New brain research proves that there is no such thing as safe sex outside of marriage. How science has come to this conclusion is amazingly interesting. Now it's going to get into the issues, talking about what has been discovered by science in the brain, the chemicals and all that. And it's pretty interesting to hear this. Again, the person writing this obviously has a certain view on certain things. And again, for me personally, I got no problem going out there and having some fun. But there's a degree in that, like I said here in the beginning, the whole idea of riding the carousel with everybody in town, that's fucking crazy in my mind for lots of reasons here. But then also just one partner in your whole life, that seems a bit much on the opposite side too. It says, the brain and sex. Neuroscience research has uncovered useful information about how sex affects the human brain. Using MRI techniques, scientists have gained a clear picture of what it takes within the brain during sexual activity. Although there is new knowledge, science confirms that the use of sex can either give us a wholeness or damage us, possibly for a lifetime. These scientific facts add support to necessary sex instruction that must be provided to protect our teens and young adults. Joe McAleny and Frida Bush, both OBGYNs, have taken the current neuroscience research and translated it into a plain-speaking, easy-to-understand book titled Hooked. Dr. How the hell do you pronounce this? McAleny, I'll just call him that, also founded the Medical Institute for Sexual Health in order to tackle the global epidemics of teen pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections. These two medical professionals have much experience in working with teens and young adults. They have seen the incredible damage done to our youth as a result of the improper use of sex. Well, it's interesting because nowadays it seems, and I've done articles, I've done videos about this subject, is that more and more teens of this generation are less interested in hooking up and dating and relationships that I've ever seen. And it isn't just something that I've read about. It's something that I've observed with people I've known, their kids, or some people that I've known in family and all that. So it isn't just something that's written down. I've observed this, and other people I know that have children have talked about this. And I have my own theories behind that. But typically speaking, when you're a teenager, your hormones are going through the roof, and you pretty much, as a guy, want to nail everything in sight. I mean, many of you guys know what I'm talking about here. And with girls, obviously, that I'm not a woman, so I don't know what they feel, but obviously they liked it too. But nowadays, it definitely it's changed. It's different. But eventually we'll catch up. But again, regardless of that, how things are with the teens, high school and all that, still by a certain age, they'll make up for lost time. And like I said, it's been glorified, particularly towards women, to pretty much, since the sexual revolution, girls, go out there and do whatever you want. And this is what you get. In Hooked, again, that thing they're talking about, that book, the duo confront the emotional and psychological damage casual sex does to young, developing brains. With the aid of modern research techniques and technologies, scientists are confirming that sex is more than a momentary physical act. They write, it produces powerful, even lifelong changes in our brains that direct and influence our future to a surprising degree. In other words, the use of sex can either help the human brain, keep the human brain healthy, or severely damage it. Hence, you got people that just cannot connect or bond with anybody. Hence, you got, like this article started, this woman here that's just very unhappy, lonely, miserable, depressed, all that. A lot of like that, apparently. Goes into emotional bonding now. The brain has been described as the largest human sex organ. Neuroscience confirms this fact. Sex triggers a magnificent biochemical process within the human brain. 3 different chemicals flood the brain from initiation to completion of the sexual act. Dopamine, oxytocin in women, and dopamine and vasopressin in men. Each chemical is designed to fulfill a specific purpose. Dopamine is known as the feel-good chemical, rewarding us when we accomplish something thrilling or exhilarating. Runners often experience dopamine highs during exercise. Dopamine has an addictive property that causes one to repeat whatever we have accomplished. Oxytocin is present in both males and females, but has a far more important role in the life of a woman. Aha! Science has known for some time that oxytocin is present when a mother nurses her baby. It aids and accelerates the human bonding process between the mother and child. During sex, the release of oxytocin in the female brain helps a woman bond with her mate. Vasopressin serves a similar function in males. Besides helping a man to bond with his children, during sex it aids bonding with his mate. How does this relate to casual sex? McElhaney and Bush connect the dots. They emphasize that parents need to understand the role of these hormones play in sexual experience. Concerning dopamine and young people having casual sex, they write, it seems that the dopamine reward signal is working very well in these young people. Once they experience sex, they want to repeat it again and again. Yeah, pretty much sounds like my teenage years. We've discussed elsewhere how sex is similar to a drug, alcohol, or nicotine addiction. It is understandable that a young or older person will want to experience that same rush again throughout their lives. The dopamine reward process in the brain is values neutral. It cannot distinguish between positive or negative behavior. If an individual gets a thrill out of risky, you know what? The dopamine reward will encourage the repetition of the risky behavior. How interesting. Loss of connectedness. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this and how it can certainly affect people, and in particular women. The dopamine reward for sex is intensely powerful. Thus, a sexually active couple upon breakup will often move quickly to sexual you-know-what with another person. In a culture that encourages casual sex, many people are moving quickly from partner to partner. Sexual addiction is often the result. The tabloids are full of accounts of the broken lives of people suffering from this addiction. Certainly, this is a terrible problem that is extremely difficult to overcome, yet those who move from partner to partner suffer even greater damage. Hence, the woman in the beginning of the article that is depressed, unhappy, miserable, you can call it whatever happens to be, and guess what? Many divorces, multiple partners, all that. And obviously she's not the only one they did the study on. Obviously they did the study on plenty of people. The bonding biochemicals, oxytocin and vasopressin, are just as powerful as dopamine. Neuroscience shows that these hormones are released with intimate physical contact such as hugging or kissing. McElhaney and Bush explain when two people join physically, powerful neurohormones are released because of their sexual experience, making an impression on the synapses in their brains and hardwiring their bond. When they stay together for life, their bonding matures. This is a major factor that keeps them together, providing a desire for intercourse, resulting in offspring, and assuring those offspring of a nurturing, two-parent home in which to grow. Although not new knowledge, science confirms the immeasurable value of a monogamous sex within marriage. Well, I certainly hope that if it's a marriage, and it is working, it is, but just between those two. That's why, for many reasons, these open marriages, that's it. It's over. Okay? And even then, you got to question. And I say sometimes, guys, like, I want people to be free. I want people to free to do what makes them happy and have peace and all that. So if you get two people that are 100% on board of this, okay, but that could have a problem down the road. And in my opinion, especially if you have kids. Okay, I'm not, call me a stick in my butt conservative, but I don't think a married couple that has kids should be having open relationships, even if they both 100% agree to it. But if it's just them, perhaps if they're both 100% on the same page, if maybe both going into it, they were into a different lifestyle, but then one would have to question, why the hell are you married to begin with? But this idea of actually having this stuff going on when they're actually in a marriage and one person's really not into it, it's over the second somebody mentions that. And how many times have I done stories where that has in fact happened? Science also affirms a destructive downside to casual sex. The doctor explains every time a person has sexual intercourse or intimate physical contact, bonding takes place. Whenever breakups occur in bonded relationships, there is confusion and often pain in the brains of the young people involved because the bond has been broken. Yeah, this is why teenagers just completely lose it sometimes when they typically, the first person they're hooking up with, that boyfriend or girlfriend, it can go both ways sometimes, and then there's a breakup. They feel like their whole life is over. You know, I've seen it. I mean, the first time I had a girl break up with me, holy shit. I mean, I just didn't want to come out of my room. I felt like a mule had kicked me in the stomach. I felt awful. And it took a while to get over that shit. And believe me, it changed me forever, but still. The problem described here also has a much deeper and long-lasting effect. The authors report, further, there is evidence that when this sex/bonding/breaking up cycle is repeated a few or many times, even when the bonding was short-lived, damage is done to the important built-in ability to develop significant and meaningful connection to other human beings. Interesting. But you know what? In a way, it kind of makes sense. I mean, if you have a relationship with somebody, you're getting close to them physically, and then you get dumped, or whatever happens, that happens enough times. Simply, you could make the conscious choice to say, that's it, I'm not getting connected to anybody now, but it sounds like this, even your brain is going to make it that's it, you know, and you simply can't connect anymore. Living a casual sex lifestyle spawns a loss of human connectedness. The truth is, we all need human attachment to survive and thrive. Right use of sex promotes personal wholeness and builds a stable family life. Casual sex, by contrast, impairs an individual's ability to form lifelong relationships. McElhaney and Bush warn that, in fact, the emotional corrosion caused by casual sex makes people less than human. It may sound blunt, but we are trying to eliminate the connectedness from sex. We remove the uniquely human aspect of it, and the sexual act becomes nothing more than raw animal behavior. It is time well spent to think deeply about that quote. Well, again, reading between the lines here, I think the bias on here is definitely a more conservative bias on this article. You get that. I've done articles with an absolutely more conservative bias towards the research and all that, and I get ones that are a little more liberal, but this one is definitely more conservative, and especially into the part I'm going to get into next. Continues on about abstinence until marriage. Let's be honest, science is uncovering what God knew thousands of years ago. Told you. God placed within the pages of the Bible vital instruction on the proper uses of sex. Just after the creation of Adam and Eve, while at the first marriage ceremony, God taught our first parents to be one of flesh. The newly created couple were to use sex to bind them together for life. They were also instructed to multiply, build a family that would rule and beautify the earth. Genesis 2:24. There was no shame to sex within this God-ordained boundary. Verse 25. The Bible also warns of the penalties that accompany the abuse of it. Study Romans 1:26-28, or 1 Corinthians 6:9, and 2 Peter 2:6. We shouldn't need science to tell us what God has already told us. Unfortunately, we have ignored God. It is likely that humans will also ignore the evidence of science. Interesting, I will say that. But I'm not going to get all religious here, because that's not what I do. My opinion, if people have their religions, if it gives them peace, gives them comfort, if they want to stick to certain things to that, that's fine. But I don't want you preaching at me. But this is interesting, this little thing they put in here. It says, he continues, human sexuality was designed by a great creator or God to bestow lifelong benefits to mankind. To reap those benefits, sex must remain within the bounds of marriage. Abstinence until marriage is the only workable, safe sex practice. It is interesting to note that a survey taken among teens revealed that 93% of teens questioned believe that teens need to be given a strong abstinence message from parents and other adults. Well, you know what? The parents can do all the giving messages they want, but at the end of the day, when you have teenagers who don't want to listen to their parents to begin with, you know, and they're extremely hormonal, good luck. But you know what? I'd say you certainly should do it. Warn them about different things, especially about STDs and pregnancy and all that. And also, who knows what the kids are, they're not going to want to hear. What's going to be more awkward to hear about being able to connect with people in terms of that damage of having lots and lots of you know what would be, or also just the risk of pregnancy and STDs. They're all important in my opinion, but still, I'm not a parent. I don't plan ever being a parent, so I don't have to deal with this, but many of you guys are or will one day, so this is something to keep in mind. It says Herbert W. Armstrong wrote this in his book, The Missing Dimension of Sex. God designated sex to produce pure, righteous, clean, holy, rich blessings. He made it to be the loving bond which not only would inspire a properly mated couple to marry, but which would preserve that marriage and love. Sex should be the energizing magnet to draw constant closer and closer together with increasing love, a husband and a wife. Okay, well that's on the basis that people actually have a good, happy marriage where they're attracted to each other and want to hook up. But good luck with that nowadays. For the couple who've been married more than 5 years, especially here in the West. This wonderful factual book is available to you at no charge upon request. Mr. Armstrong uses the Bible and science to provide the missing dimension so prevalent in sex knowledge today. In the hands of loving parents, this book is the best tool to instruct our youth on how to avoid the damage caused by casual sex. So, there you go, guys. Something different today, but anyhow, obviously research in this study has been done. But again, I always question where's the bias in the research, because research costs money, and people tend to donate money for research. May have a certain view, certain political views. So this is more of a conservative thing. But the bottom line is this, guys. Is obviously science is showing that the more hooking up that's going on, the harder it is for people to make connections, be bonded, and all that. And it is a wonder that in the example at the beginning, the woman there had been married multiple times and is obviously quite into hooking up casually, to no surprise, has issues with depression, being sad, lonely, needy, all that. And again, I chose this article because nowadays, I mean, it's like we're getting close to being like Sodom and Gomorrah out there. So, and it's encouraged. And so you're going to have more and more screwed up people walking around that have no ability to connect with anyone. And here's the thing. I want to wrap this up real quick. Here's the thing. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, that therefore then girls shouldn't hook up at all. And that means then if they get married and they don't ever, and their husband is their first and only, then there won't be any problems whatsoever. Well, unfortunately, I've done plenty of stories and known people in situations where that, in fact, was the case, where the girl, it really was, the guy she married was her only guy. But eventually, given the environment we're in nowadays, where it's encouraged and all that, these girls eventually, they cheat. These wives, that their husband was their first and only guy, they eventually cheat. They wonder what else was out there. What did they miss? Blah, blah, blah. Because their husband was their first guy. They got married young and all that. And so that's why, in my opinion, and I know I always get shit about this every time I say this, in my opinion, you find a balance. That's why I think it's okay for both parties to have some, I repeat, a little experience. And then if you do get serious with somebody, whether it's just your lifelong partner but you don't get married, or if you do in fact get married, which I don't promote because I know how it is in today's world, it is what it is, despite what this article is saying, that it can minimize you wondering what did you miss and all that, you know. But people can go back and forth on their opinions on these things. But I encourage that. I encourage people to talk about these things, different ideas. That's why when I do these videos, my comment sections are full of hundreds, if not thousands of comments. People from all over the world talking about this stuff. You know, I like to hear it. So, but anyhow, guys, I thought that'd be an interesting thing to go over, because our environment right now, there's a lot of screwed up people walking around, and the whole, thanks to the sexual revolution promoting the women go do it, you got more and more walking around, just can't connect to anybody, unhappy and all that. But anyhow, guys, I thought it'd be a good one to go over. So that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of comments about this, both agreeing with me, disagreeing with me, and who the hell knows what. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.